I rip and I rhyme. I rhyme and I rip. This is the way that Ryan spits.
Oh, Dick.
Oh, Dick,
Oh,
bud.
Dick.
The whole program's cocked in here, boys.
How are you, friend?
Well, I'm a little struggle bus. We're in a
new location tonight, and Ryan's really having a hard time adjusting. He has to sit on a couch instead of a chair, and it's throwing his whole shit off.
You guys, listen, guys and gals and everyone in between. I am a person who loves their routine. Pattern is important for me. Having the things
sat
that
in the same chair for like 149 out of our 150 episodes.
You know, maybe that's what it is. Mm-hmm. There's a fairness to my assessment here that I'm just so used to one thing because I have literally done it for hundreds of hours.
Yeah.
That doing it in a different room with different lighting in a different seat in a different microphone is disconcerting to my delicate demeanor. And
well, shout out to River Rock Studios for accommodating my poor planning. Ryan's got the soundboard also. And he doesn't know what any of the buttons are. And he's got no headphones on. Here we go.
Nope. I got no
buttons after all that.
I got no words on here, man.
All right. Hit the pad mode. Up at the top. Mode. There it is.
Oh. Okay, wait.
Pad me now.
Try pad me now for your free sound. Okay, give me it one more time. I'm ready now.
I don't remember what I said.
Something about River Rock.
Thank you to River Rock Studios for accommodating my poor planning.
Hell yes.
Oh!
I heard that over here, and I don't have headphones on.
It scared the shit out of me.
Which means I literally deafened you.
I bet River Rock is really psyched that they're associated with this bullshit right now.
They're like, don't tell these people about us.
Hey, it's our worst sounding episode ever. Thanks to River Rock Studios.
You won't be able to listen to the music that gets created at River Rock because we've just deafened you all.
I'm sweating because of how loud that was. Oh, Christ. I didn't either.
I never knew that was a thing that could happen.
It was either.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. Remember that one episode we did where we recorded for like a really long time and then realized that we hadn't been recording that whole time?
Is that happening right now?
No, I wish it was. I wish that was this episode.
For a second, I thought you were going to be like, we got to do all this again.
God, I wish.
No, we're here now. Hey, y'all, this is the What If Podcast, believe it or not. And if this is your first episode, turn it off.
I'm so sorry.
Turn it off. Go listen to one of the other 150 we've done first, and then come back to this debauchery. And it'll make a little more sense to you. How are you, man? What's going on?
I'm doing good, dude. I don't do this often. I'm going to recommend a podcast to you.
Okay.
It's one of my...
And by proxy, thousands and thousands of other people.
Yeah, no promo, but the Dolly Parton's America podcast is one of the best podcasts I've heard in a really long time.
No shit.
Yeah.
This is the one that This American Life did? Or
yeah, it's the dude from This American Life. I don't remember his name right now. But it's called Dolly Parton's America, and it's a 9-part pod.
Or no, Radiolab.
Is it?
Is it the guys from Radiolab? Is it Jad Abumrad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Radiolab, not This American Life.
Yeah.
Yes. That dude. And it's primarily just him, or like he's the host of it.
And I like him a lot on Radiolab.
Oh, he's great. And he has, it seems like, unlimited access to Dolly Parton for this pod, and it's fantastic.
That was literally going to be my first question is Dolly Parton on the show?
Yes.
Significantly so, it appears.
Yeah.
Huh.
And the whole the whole show is 9 episodes. There's 6 out so far, and it's amazing. I've listened to all 6 of them in the last 3 days.
I've always been fine with Dolly Parton. I didn't grow up listening to her music, and I've never been thoroughly, set out to like go learn more about her, but I'm into it. I'm down. Let's friggin' go.
I've been fascinated with her as a songwriter, but didn't know anything about her personally until listening to this, and it is fascinating on both counts.
Is she richer than God at this
Oh,
point?
yeah.
Like way richer than
Many
God,
hundreds of millions of dollars, yes.
Lit. Good for her.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, the music she's written alone, and then all the like TV and movies, and like, you know, she's still performing in her 70s. Like, yeah. She's got stupid money. She wrote Jolene and I Will Always Love You in the same day.
I'm sorry. I Will Always Love You. Not the Celine Dion song.
Celine Dion.
And
I don't think Celine Dion has ever sang that song, but yes, that's the song you're thinking of. Yeah, Dolly Parton wrote that.
Isn't that Celine Dion?
I don't think she ever did. Are you thinking of Whitney Houston from The Bodyguard?
Oh God, I'm such an idiot. I literally have to resign from everything I've ever done.
I'm telling you, man, I wish we hadn't hit record on this one.
Yeah, this is going to be, we're going to make that joke 10 more times during this episode.
Let's talk about dead people. Go listen to that podcast. It's great. But you're listening to this podcast and we're talking about dead people and reanimating things and people and creatures.
I like how quickly we told people this podcast is a podcast about telling you to go listen to a different podcast.
Yeah, well, you know.
Actually,
it's better than this one.
I had an idea the other day that someone will probably steal now that I'm telling it to all these people, but
This just keeps getting better.
I had an idea for a podcast that I think would be really funny. You know how when you're listening to a podcast that you like, and then randomly in their stream they'll be like introducing this new podcast that you can go listen to here. I thought it would
do that.
It would be a really funny podcast to just do 5-minute episodes of introducing, and every episode is just a fake episode of a new podcast about a completely random different thing, and you could have like
somebody's done a version of that.
Fake mini interviews, and you could like have funny websites. Like each one could have its own website, and you could, I don't know.
I'm sure some improv troupe somewhere has done that.
You just reduce my idea to an improv troupe.
I mean, your
thing that's already done.
Your concept is an improv game, but it could be funny.
Is it?
Like improv? No, I mean, I don't know. I've never done improv, but it seems like it.
It's like, we did this in my class on Wednesday night. I've done this many times.
Make up a bunch of little things and be cute about it. That seems like an improv game.
I'm down.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not this podcast, nor is Dolly Parton's podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about dead people.
What if you were undead, reanimated?
What if you reanimated the dead?
What if you died more than once?
What if you died and then undied? I don't know, man.
Where do you want to start with this one? I got a bunch of crazy stories that don't necessarily relate to each other.
Okay. I think
but
that's
are
probably
all pretty entertaining.
I think that's probably where we're going to go all over the place today. So why don't you kick us off? Also, because I don't have internet yet, so I'm going to get that figured out.
This is fantastic.
And you tell me a story.
So I came to this topic the other day through a book that was actually about zombies. It's essentially like how you might go about actually having zombies on Earth. It's called How to Make a Zombie, The Real Life and Death Science of Reanimation and Mind Control by Frank Swain.
Frank sounds like a man after our own hearts.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So a lot of the book is about, it's broken down into sections in terms of like, in order to have a zombie, you first need something or someone or a bunch of someones that are undead, whatever that means. So
undead?
I mean, that's
I thought you
dead,
meant,
but still moving around, you know?
For sure. I thought you meant the first ingredient was undead things. I was like, it seems like he skipped a lot of stuff.
Well, so you know, you need things that have died and been brought back to life or are like somewhere in between alive and dead.
Sure.
Then you need to be able to control those things. Then you need the whole like eating brains part. So he goes through like, in these different sections, like how could this happen in a scientific way or have versions of this happened to people?
You know how I always talk about how I like really good grifts?
Yeah.
Another thing that's really high up there for me with really good grifts is people who take extremely non-serious things extremely seriously.
How is that a grift?
No, it's not. I'm just saying I herald it up there similarly in like, good for you. Like, good for you for taking this very not real thing and being like, I'm writing 350 pages on this not real topic.
Or not even like not real, but a topic that people don't normally take seriously.
Right.
It's like what I love about Shea Serrano so much, and his writing especially, is he can make an engaging whole chapter about like 3 seconds of an NBA game from 1984.
Yes. He's the definition of the person who, like, do you remember when you were in school and you needed to get like 3 more pages out of your paper and you were like, how am I going to do this?
He is that in its highest possible form, where it is also actually good writing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's writing for length, but it's great.
Mm-hmm. Or he is. He's sitting down to be like, I guess I got to write 5 pages about this thing. Better start bullshitting. And then all his bullshit is brilliant and hilarious.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, so Frank Swain wrote this book. And there's one chapter in particular that was interesting to me, which is chapter 2, Time for a Revival. And he basically outlines attempts throughout history of people trying to reanimate dead creatures. Animals, humans. I guess those 2 things. Animals and humans.
Insects?
Plants? No, just animals and humans. And there's like a way longer history of this than I was aware of, going back hundreds of years.
Okay.
So I'll go through a few things that he lays out in that chapter.
Can I ask a quick question first?
Sure.
Does he ever in the book talk about like, I don't know if there's evidence of this, but the first people to try this, or like the origination of it? We talked a little bit about this in the Halloween Zombies episode about how there are like some very, very old Egyptian readings that speak to the concept of the dead coming back. And I mean, I guess less the concept and more like, was there a first person who was like, I'm going to work on this real quick and see if I can get this dead person back?
Yes. Well, in modern times, at least, I don't. Yeah, I didn't find documentation of like someone, like most things we've done. Someone probably tried it thousands of years ago, and we just don't know about it. But there was a guy named Luigi Galvani in the late 1700s who started basically trying to electrocute dead animals to bring them back to life.
I mean, you got to start somewhere.
So, and that led to a branch of science, I guess. Science wasn't really a thing back then in the way that it is now. I learned through this process that the word scientist was not coined until 1834.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That seems
not that long ago.
That seems quite late to me.
Yeah. So this dude, Luigi Galvani, galvanism became the practice of trying to reanimate things through the use of electricity.
Whoa, I'm nervous.
So he started with frog legs and applying electricity to them and realizing that electricity would make the muscles spasm even after the legs had been detached from the frog and the frog was dead.
So I have a question about this too.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple notes on this in my notes for the zombie episode, just related to this specifically. And one of the things that I was wondering about this is like, okay, so I mean, conceptually, I understand the biology of this. Your muscle is like a rubber band, and if you apply electricity to it, it causes like, the way that I understand it, it causes like constriction in that part of it because, I mean,
yeah,
because that's what it does. So when it constricts, it makes the whole muscle move because the rubber band is all attached, right? I mean, that's like a super dumb and simplistic way of saying it, but like, I guess the point I'm trying to make is how is that in any way like an effort to bring something back to life? Or is it?
Well,
or is it not supposed to be? Is it like, this is step one?
This was step one. You asked like, where did this start?
Got it.
That's where it started.
Okay, I just didn't. I guess what I was maybe more saying was like, was this an initial effort of setting out to reanimate a being, or was it just like, let's see what happens with dead parts when they're dead?
Both.
Okay, got it. That makes sense.
I think. I mean, I would assume that for as long as we've been humans, we've probably thought about, can we bring something back from the dead?
Right. Like, it sucked when that person died. It would be a lot cooler if they were here.
Yeah.
What could we do about that if we wanted to?
So I'm sure that was somewhere in his brain when he was doing this stuff, but I think it was more just like, what happens if we do this?
Sure.
Because then you're also potentially learning about, like, well, are muscles controlled by electrical impulses? Does the brain use electricity somehow to control movement? You know, there are other things to be learned potentially along the way.
There's also something particularly wild. I think, like, you know, I mean, I don't know about you, but like, we dissected frogs and did this like in middle school, like with this exact thing, like where you're given one of those little things that plugs in and it's like a little electrical zapper, and you were supposed to poke different parts of the frog and it moved.
Yeah, think about being the first person to do that.
That's just what I was about to say, is like the first person who did that was like, oh, fuck, it moved. Oh, God, it moved.
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
Why the fuck is it moving?
Especially if you don't have a good understanding or like if electricity is a relatively new concept.
Yeah.
Like
that dude had a revolver on the table and put 6 in that frog. As soon as he touched it with that electrode, he was like, no,
we'll
dead.
get to some more extreme examples where people end up dying later.
You're double dead. Double dead, frog.
So that was the first attempt, and it's been called galvanism after him, or electrophysiology. This then got taken farther by his, let's see, it's like his nephew or something. Anyway, Luigi, what's his name? Luigi and I don't know, another dude.
Do you want Mario? Because I'll give you Mario if that's what you're looking
Luigi
for.
Galvani, and then who was
Dad, blame it, boy.
Yeah, sorry. Whatever.
It's okay.
Oh, Giovanni Aldini.
Man.
Yeah, right?
Very strong names.
His nephew. So his nephew, this is now the early 1800s, took this farther and decided he was going to try and apply it to people.
Okay. Okay.
So there was a guy. People used.
Guy silly? I'm still gonna send it.
He definitely sent it.
Sorry, I was late. I had to find it.
It's okay. There were a lot of people getting hung back then, I guess, for all kinds of things.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, so this guy George Forster was hung for a very good reason. He killed his wife and child.
Oh well.
Yep.
I feel
so.
I'm not sorry anymore.
It's not the
good
worst.
riddance.
So he got hung. As soon as he was declared dead, they took him to a nearby college where Giovanni Aldini and a audience of medical students tried to revive him.
To clarify, this was planned. Like, hey, we're gonna hang this guy.
Yep. So he had moved on from working on animals and been like, where can I get a dead person?
And the police were like, here you go.
We got a bunch. We do this every day.
We'll bring you one every day.
Yep. So I'm going to read briefly from a All That's Interesting article, because some are called Real Frankenstein Experiments.
God bless.
They summarize it pretty well. Giovanni first moved the limbs and struck the face to demonstrate that Forster was fully dead.
Struck the face.
Uh-huh. Then,
he's just finding creative ways to kung fu this dude. Like, see, no reaction.
Very dead.
All right.
Then he soaped the dead man's ears with salt water and stuck sponges in them to conduct electricity.
Oh, boy.
Finally, he applied electrodes to each ear and passed a current through the man's head.
Yikes.
In the words of a horrified reporter who witnessed the demonstration, quote, on the first application of the process to the face, the jaws of the deceased criminal began to quiver, and the adjoining muscles were horribly contorted. One eye actually opened. In the subsequent part of the process, the right hand was raised and clenched into a fist, and the legs and thighs were set in motion.
Gonna be a good day.
We win!
So he electrocutes this newly deceased dude through the brain and gets him to open his eyes, raise a fist up in the air, and shake his legs around.
And I bet everybody in the audience was like crawling underneath their chairs.
Someone in the room died.
Whoa! Whoa! What?
Yeah.
Like, so, like, holy shit, they died?
Someone watching it died on the spot.
Oh.
Oh, dang.
So not only did they not revive him, they killed another person.
Yo, you know this. Wait, this is Giovanni or Luigi?
Giovanni.
Giovanni's like, bring him down here.
Yeah, I got you. Throw him on the table.
Quick. I'll jolt his ass too. Let's go.
George didn't work, but get that dude up here.
I need some more salt water.
It's only funny because they've been dead for 200 years.
Yeah, guys, we don't do dead people episodes very often, all right?
So, yeah, that was 1803.
It's a long time ago. That's a really long time ago that people were, man.
That was 31 years before the word scientist was invented.
And I have a very important question, which is, what did Giovanni consider himself at the time?
Just a Giovanni, I guess.
Just a guy. Just a guy in a classroom killing people with his fear tactics.
Just a wet, crazy dude.
Of life reanimation.
Yep.
Man, so he's going to do her, bud.
If we skip ahead to the 1900s, 1920s and 30s, there was a Russian dude named Sergei Brukhoenko.
Brukhoenko.
Yeah, sure.
Hello, I am Sergei Brukhoenko.
That guy.
I will bring your dead family back to life.
He spent a few years developing this heart-lung machine.
I call it heart-lung machine.
His idea was that if you had the head of a thing,
okay,
in his case he used dogs.
Oh, sad.
And you could pump oxygenated blood through it.
Okay.
You could keep the head of the thing alive without the rest of it. So essentially, if your brain is consistently getting warm oxygenated blood, it's good to go.
Bork.
Yes.
I guess that stands to reason if you can keep putting blood and oxygen in the brain.
Mm-hmm. So it was essentially two pumps and then like a receptacle. So he's using the animal's own blood, pumping it out, oxygenating it, warming it, and then pumping it back in.
I have a gross question.
Sure.
Were they like killing dogs for this purpose?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
The Russians just really hate dogs for
they
some
don't
reason.
give a fuck, bro.
They always have.
They don't give a fuck.
Remember when the Olympics were there and they were just going around killing wild dogs?
Is that a thing that happens?
Yeah.
Wow.
It looks bad to have feral dogs by the Olympic Village, so they just killed a whole bunch of dogs before the Olympics started.
Fucking fucked up Uncle Vlad was just like, bring the street sweepers out, literally.
Yeah.
That's fucked. I hate it.
Hell no!
From that book by Frank Swain that I referenced earlier, in February of 1929, there was a student paper from I don't know the author, but from MIT that reported that Sergei and an associate had kept a severed dog's head alive for 3.5 hours.
Ugh.
A month later, Time magazine wrote, quote, "Vague reports have been reaching the U.S. that Russian scientists have revived corpses."
Oh, no. No me gusta.
And this had gone back to at least 1902 when another Russian gentleman named Alexei Kulyabko had a rabbit that had been dead for 44 hours and managed to restart its heart, which seems like an incredibly long time.
Whoa.
And then was able to repeat this several times up to 5 days after an animal had died.
What?
5 days. I mean, this is, coming out of Russia almost 120 years ago. So,
and on the internet.
Take it for what you will.
Yes.
From a book.
Okay.
Slightly better than the internet.
Yes.
Someone other than the person who wrote it probably looked at it before it got published.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, 5 days after a rabbit had died, apparently they were able to restart its heart. I don't know if that means reviving the animal, but they were able to like generate blood flow, I guess.
Well, my question with restart the heart is like, are we talking about the heart beating on its own?
I don't know.
Because I feel like if the way that I understand it, and again, we are the dumb sweary boys, but the way I understand it is like your brain has to tell your heart to keep beating, even though it's subconscious for us on a daily basis. Like it doesn't just do that on its own without any brain signal. Right?
No, I don't think so. Unless you're like, directly stimulating it somehow.
I'm just saying, I guess what I'm saying is you have to have both. Like when they say they restarted the heart, you have to be able to get a brain signal and
you're saying
a
to
heart.
be alive or to keep that heart going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
I don't know if is one dependent on the other though. You know, if you generate blood flow through the brain, does then the brain restart? It's probably a really dumb biology question, but they're correlated, right?
Right. Well, because you have to have oxygenated blood going into the brain for the brain to do the thing that it's doing.
Right.
For it to tell the heart to do the thing that the heart's supposed to do.
Right.
To send the blood back to the brain.
Right.
Can you believe we exist, man?
No, I try not to think about it too much.
The fucking, all of the little things that should probably be going wrong inside of my body right now.
Yep.
Just don't.
Yep.
And that's insane to me. Like the fact that your stomach, just like, yes, people have ulcers, but like for the most part, your stomach just is a contained unit and it digests your food and passes it into your intestine. Do you know how many millions of things probably could and should go wrong just with that one organ on a daily basis?
Yeah.
And it just doesn't.
I mean, sometimes it do.
It do, but like, most of
it don't until it do.
It don't until it do. But like for most people, that's just like you don't even think about your stomach, and then you just apply that to like the other 7 million like microcosms of that happen in your body on a daily basis. We shouldn't be here, man. We shouldn't be here.
Or we should. We figured it out.
Fucking A. We were, I guess.
We did a lot of things right, or, had a lot of time to get shit wrong.
A lot of ancestors worked real hard on these genetic evolutions for us to be functional, not having our butts fall out and our fucking heads fall off and shit.
So, dude, eventually, after being able to keep dogs alive for it claims like months for one of them.
Months?
Yeah.
What? I mean,
or no, sorry. That was eventually he started stitching dogs together in true pigeon rat form.
No,
Dude, there are some wild. If you want,
I hate it.
If you want to ruin your day, there are photos and video of a lot of this stuff.
Absolutely not.
There's a video, like a 27-minute long video that is on YouTube that I'll link to because it's fucking crazy.
Hell no.
It is called Experiments in the Revival of Organisms.
I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm disturbed. I don't know why I decided to do this. I can't find the button right now, but it's the sentiment I feel.
Yeah, we get it. So he then decided to try and revive human beings.
I mean, it's a natural progression, right? If you feel like you are getting success with smaller organisms, you're going to work your ass up to the big kahuna.
Yeah, he was feeling pretty good about dogs. He was killing them and bringing them back to life like all the time.
Check me out.
He actually he started just like euthanizing dogs and then 10 minutes later being like, all right, get up, you silly bastard, and bringing them back.
That can't be true.
Yeah.
It can't be true.
Yeah, I think it is.
I can't be true.
Anyway, so in 1929, he and a guy named Fyodor Andreev decided to try and revive a guy who had died during surgery the day before. So they hooked up a bunch of pumps to him and started pumping a solution of, sodium chloride, calcium chloride, potassium chloride, sodium bicarbonate, and dextrose, which apparently is a solution that would keep the heart pumping after they like electrically stimulated it. So there was some chemical solution that somehow they discovered would
help.
Yeah.
With the process.
Yep. So they start pumping all this stuff into the dude. And also gave him a shot of adrenaline.
Pulp Fiction right there.
Yeah.
Straight to the heart.
Yeah.
Seen it. Hey-o.
My dad, when he was dead, got 2 shots of adrenaline straight into his heart.
That's right.
Yeah, he's got a weird little heart thing because of it.
Really?
It leaves like a little bit of scar tissue. He's got
Oh.
like a little funky valve thing because there's like scar tissue
Oh,
when somebody jabs a needle into your heart twice.
right. But you're saying he's got like, is it like a heart problem? Or is
No,
it
he's
just,
fine. It's just like you go to the doctor and they're like, hey, you know about this thing? He's like, yeah, I know about that thing.
Yeah, I got a scar there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Anyway, so they pumped all this stuff into him, shot him up with adrenaline, and his heart starts beating. And it says in the book, quote, a wet choking sound erupted from his throat.
Absolutely not.
Assistants fled the room in terror. They kept his heart beating for 20 minutes before it stopped. Cat horn for that one.
Cat horn, bro. 20 minutes.
It's pretty good,
He's
right?
back for 20 minutes.
In 1929, they brought a man back from the dead who had been dead for a full day, not like a matter of minutes. For 24 hours, they got his heart going for 20 minutes.
I guess.
And he made some weird wet sounds, apparently.
Goo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm debating. The reason I gave you cat horn on that one is because I'm trying to debate whether or not I should be psyched about this possibility or whether I should be really disturbed.
I mean, we do it now, right?
In what way?
With defibrillators?
Yeah.
We bring
Well-
people back from, quote, the dead. Usually not, after days, but...
The thing that I'm wondering, particularly with these specific situations about, is like how, like the point that I was making earlier about the frog leg stuff, how much of that, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, if you're pumping things through your body and like trying to restart your heart and stuff like that, like how much of that can create like secondary effects that make it appear
The illusion of life.
Yeah, make it
Yeah.
appear like your blood's moving, so your muscles move, so you like, your throat, contracts because there's liquid going past it, and then
It's like an extension of the frog leg muscle reaction.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that part of this, or like I don't know. I guess I just have a hard time with, and I'm sure they did too at the time. Like, what's the definition of this thing being back or alive or seemingly alive or whatever?
They tried it one other time with a person, and it went, quote unquote, better. This person had been dead for 3 hours, and they did the same thing and started pumping blood through him with the dog head blood pumping machine.
Yeah.
And they like warmed the body up too, because apparently that's important, or they thought it was.
Yeah. It actually is, for what it's worth.
And so that whole process of like the chemical solution, the blood, the warming, they did over the course of a couple of hours. And after like 2 or 3 hours, they heard his heart start to beat.
Got it.
Then they heard a noise from his throat. Then his eyes opened. And then he started looking around at people
Bro.
for 2 minutes, to the point where they all freaked out, had a, oh fuck, what have we done moment, and turned everything off, and then never did it again.
His head fell off.
It didn't. The dogs did.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one of the dogs gained a new head. That photo is fucked.
Don't do it.
There's a dog with 2 heads on the internet if you want to see it.
Heck.
Don't do it. Oh, man. The other thing about this that I find very, like, intense and kind of disturbing is, like, as we're going through this process, I have this weird, sympathy for the dead.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, I guess empathy's not the right word, obviously, but sympathy for the dead, I guess, because it's like, as we're doing these things, we have no idea what type of like effect this has on like a thing, a spirit, a soul, an individual, a being.
Right. Was that
Like-
person back for 2 minutes?
And like,
Was he conscious for part of that?
with the dog ones, like I think with things about like, and this is, I don't mean to get like too graphic, but I think about like with the dog ones, you think about like you're a bodiless being, and if it's possible to bring your brain back to life, that sensation of being bodiless and like probably in pain. I mean, you still technically have nerves and there's blood running to where your nerves would be. I mean, like, I would imagine there's probably pain involved.
I don't know. You've also severed your spinal cord.
Yeah.
You might not feel anything.
Maybe. I don't know, but it's like, but we don't know. We don't know, right?
I mean, like somebody probably does. The two of us don't.
I guess
and they may not have in 1903 when they were doing some of this shit.
Or your brain is used to like breathing, but you're not breathing because you don't have lungs. Like,
all this stuff is like extremely unethical.
Right? I mean, I guess maybe that's what I'm getting at. Is like, is it really fucked up to even be trying this?
Yes, definitely.
With any of these humans or fucking dead
absolutely.
animals.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Absolutely, unequivocally. Yeah, I mean, you're killing things.
Well, the killing part is not you're saying you're killing it because you're potentially bringing it back, and then in a way,
they killed these things first to do experiments on them.
Okay, well, that's for sure unethical. Well, I don't know. We kill stuff to do experiments on all the time to this day, or kill stuff in the process of doing experiments on it all the time.
Doesn't mean we should be.
And I'm not saying we should. I'm just saying.
Also,
it's not like a extinct thing.
Sure. I mean, human experimentation is essentially, or it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Although there's some stuff like, one of the articles I found was a company that's trying to do super futuristic regeneration of spinal cords in people who are comatose or have had like traumatic back or like neck injuries as a way of potentially like seeing if they can bring their spinal cord back. Can they bring back the connection to the brainstem, and will that somehow like bring them back to life? And those people don't have the ability to make that choice, but their families are signing people up for these trials where they're trying to do regeneration things.
I mean, that gets messy in a lot of ways if you no longer have the ability to make decisions and you haven't instructed your family or whoever.
And they're trying to bring you back because they love you and they've kept you in on life support for years or whatever.
Write down what you want.
Right now?
I mean, yeah.
Telling everyone to do that at some point? Yeah, for sure.
It's like backing up your hard drive.
Just
fucking do it.
Just fucking do it.
You don't know when it's going to happen. Just write some shit down.
It's so much better than not, And you can fucking...
yeah, and it takes 2 minutes if you want to.
And like put your fucking phone password in there and like your computer password there.
Yeah, I mean, or not.
Or not, but I'm saying...
You don't want people looking through your shit.
Right,
Got some weird shit on my phone.
But if you...
Don't look at it.
What was the my brother, me guys? I always say blast my cache.
Blast my cache?
Yeah, like on your website.
Oh, CACHE.
Yes, as in,
dude,
come back to my internet browser and blast my cache for me.
The things that I type into Google, twice a week when I'm prepping our shows, and then I forget about later.
And then you go to type something into your browser and something is predicted and you're like, what?
Or the other day I let someone else use my computer and
they were very freaked out.
I don't remember what it was, but like, Google suggests things.
Right.
Got some wild suggestions in there.
That's like that one day we talked about
every letter of the alphabet at this point.
Yeah, that's like that one day we talked about your Amazon suggestions.
Oh boy, they don't know what to do.
The products Amazon thinks you want to buy.
Spotify's getting that way for me too.
I guess I just like, it makes me super, I don't know, like, and I don't know, like, there's this finality to death that I feel like we all grapple with throughout our lives. And there is something weird to me. Like, I get uncomfortable about playing with that.
Yeah. Cause we don't know, we don't understand it.
Yeah. And about trying to undo something that is like is a natural process and is, again, like there's a finality to, like, should we fuck with that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But then there's
we are in less dramatic ways all the time though.
Well, and that's the other thing you were just saying, like we give people fucking, we give people the paddles in a fucking ambulance every fucking day.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there are some people that don't want to be resuscitated under any circumstances.
Right. Once I'm out, I'm out.
Yeah. I mean, these are especially fucked because most of them were done without consent, which makes
Right.
it way worse. And that
The
it was
police
so
were like, here's a dead criminal.
exactly.
Fuck with it.
And like one of these cases that we won't spend much time on because it's especially fucked. A woman was hung. I mean, the further back in history you go, the worse it gets because
Totally.
we understood less and less, especially around medicine.
And we just had no regard for anything or anyone.
Exactly. But a woman was hung for killing her child. And whatever. That story is awful.
The setup and then the eject button.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We got better stories to tell.
All right.
I think that's it on the Oh no. I almost forgot. I almost forgot the best part of this whole book.
Hey.
Give me 1 second.
We won't do that to y'all.
There is a section in this book by Frank Swain. I love the way he writes because it starts with like, here's, sort of a like understandable baseline of applying electricity to muscles of a frog.
Sure.
They move. And then we get all the way to, by the end of that same chapter, a man punching a sheep back to life.
Excuse me?
So there was a guy named Dr. Ivy.
Sounds like a very rudimentary form of CPR.
Well, he became
Live, damn it, live!
he became fascinated in the early 1900s with this form of martial arts called Katsu, Katsu, that it was, I think it's like a branch of jujitsu, or sorry, a subdivision of judo known as Katsu.
Okay. I can get on board with this.
So it was originally created to revive judo students who were accidentally killed or knocked unconscious during judo.
Wait. Excuse me? This is like a thing that happened enough that they had to invent a thing to address the thing?
I guess so. I mean, the unconscious part makes sense. You're essentially fighting. Sometimes somebody's going to get knocked out. There
Yeah.
are probably ways to bring someone back to consciousness more quickly.
Yeah,
The
but
death
like,
part is a little weirder.
yeah, y'all shouldn't be.
Don't
y'all-
die.
Yeah.
Hope you don't dick her.
I thought the whole point was like self-defense, right? Like not like, oh, get killed trying to.
I don't know anything about martial arts, but I'm
Oh,
pretty
bro.
sure you're not supposed to die.
I've told my karate story in this show, right?
Maybe. Let me finish
Do
this
it,
Katsu
do
thing.
it.
So, quote, the skilled practitioner would deliver several sharp blows and vigorous massages at specified nerve endings, bones, and joints,
Whoa.
such as the upper lip, temple, clavicle, neck, spine, and peritoneum, a membrane lining the abdomen,
Damn.
with hopefully dramatic consequences.
hopefully dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a guide to it called the Complete Kanu Jujitsu that was written in 1935 that says blows may be struck that cause insensibility, which I'm assuming means unconsciousness, or death. There's a notion that because one who has been killed by a fatal blow can be brought back to life, he was not really killed after all. When a fatal jujitsu blow is struck in the right way, the processes of life are mechanically stopped. It requires the prompt manipulations of Katsu to set these vital forces at work again, and thus to restore life.
Wow.
So,
That can't be real, but it's a cool idea.
well, they decided to test it in 1933 on an 80-pound lamb who they killed with nitrogen. Yeah, right.
Jesus.
They just had no regard for human life.
I mean, I guess I don't know how
Or
else you
lamb
do
life.
it, but
Yeah, they
because I guess part of the whole reanimating thing is like you can't do things that like totally fuck with its form, you know? Like you can't.
unless you're gonna just cut a dog's head off like that one dude,
I
like
guess,
Sergey.
but like you can't shoot it in the brain
Right.
because it needs. It's like
Right.
so. It's like how do you kill a thing that? Maybe
So-
don't. Hey guys, maybe don't. Maybe we just don't do this anymore.
So, yeah, hopefully we don't. There's a reason all these stories are from 100 years ago.
Preach.
An 80-pound lamb was killed. They waited 30 minutes, and then this Dr. Ivy, which is IVIE, started performing Katsu on it.
Hit it on the lip.
So
Punch it in the tummy. He started rubbing his ears real fast.
Frank does a great job here again describing it. He says, history does not record which one of the 7 katsus Ivy used, though surely it was not number 6, a knuckle strike to the foot that is reserved exclusively for those incapacitated by testicular injury.
Oh my God.
Perhaps he opted for number 3, a knee strike targeted between the shoulder blades.
Oh, so Frank is just roasting right now, for sure.
Or number 5, scalp massage? Or number 7, the most important form of katsu, used for the treatment of any kind of injury that causes unconsciousness or apparent death. It involves a sharp blow to a point on the mid-spine, which in layman's terms means that Ivy would have attempted to punch a sheep back to life.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal sentence.
By
punching it in the back?
It just punch it right in the spine.
Oh, that doesn't sound like
up, up. Ah, fuck, I'm awake.
Yeah, I'm awake because my back has been rebroken in death, and it sucks.
A lot of these things sound like they would probably work on an unconscious person at least some of the time. Less so on a dead person.
Yeah. I bet if you stomped on my foot when I was unconscious, there would be enough pain receptors there for my body to be like, ah, what the fuck?
Or at least sometimes. Or at least sometimes you would coincidentally become conscious again in that moment or soon after.
Right.
Anyway,
that's why they slap somebody who's unconscious, man.
He ends this section by saying, in any case, his katsu failed as he did as did a post katsu spell on the sheep. So they did not revive the sheep, but he attempted to punch a sheep back to life.
And God bless him for it, because now we get that sentence in our vocabularies. Yep. Unreal.
All right. You got anything?
I do. I have one story. Go ahead.
Human head transplants are a thing that another guy is trying to do.
Again, what are we doing here?
People got bad heads. They need new ones.
What are we doing here?
Got a bad head? Give me a new one.
So
I want your head. Give me your head.
Connect every artery and vein and muscle and spinal cord attachment from somebody else.
Sergio Canavero is claiming he will do he's an Italian neurosurgeon who claims he's going to do the first head transplant.
When?
Let's see. He says he did in 2017, but no one has confirmed that.
You're a piece of shit.
Right. Also, China was the only place willing to let him try, apparently.
Well,
so we can apply that last statement to China as well.
That also sounds like that might be true.
Yep.
How does that even? What do you just get?
You're using it wrong. Give it to me. Take this one. This one's a piece of shit. Give me your head.
Yeah, but that's
let's trade.
Like, what are we doing here? Are we taking a dead?
Who fucking knows? I just wanted to say it. Mostly, I wanted to say put human head transplant on the list.
I'm gonna
do it.
All
right. So speaking of the small moments in which we are doing a version of what we're talking about on a daily basis, I want to tell a really quick story to close this episode about Anna Bogenholm.
Okay.
Anna Bogenholm was born in 1970 in Bannersborg, Sweden. And
sounds lovely.
She had an accident in 1999. Anna was a radiologist at the time who was studying to become an orthopedic surgeon. And she was doing her residency at a hospital in Narvik, Norway, where she and friends would go basically skiing when they're not doing their rounds in their residency to become orthopedic surgeons. So they go skiing one day outside of Narvik, Norway, and it's downhill mixed with cross country, I guess, like a lot of flat areas, but also there are mountains in the area as well, so you can go downhill for a while.
Real life skiing.
Yeah, real life skiing, like the real shit. Like
skiing to get places skiing.
Yeah, we live in Minnesota where there's not nearly enough elevation for there to be real skiing here. But a lot of cross country skiers. Anna
Nordic skiing, if you will.
Nordic skiing, if you will. You and I with our Nordic blood. They are going down a steep part of a mountain outside of Narvik on a day. It was the 20th of May, 1999. And Anna loses control of her skis going down this mountain. In the process of doing so, she landed. I can't exactly. The write-ups in a few different places spell it differently. It seems like she essentially caught the tips of her skis and went over the front of them.
Cut her head clean off. She needed a new one.
That was not the case, but boy, it ain't great. It seems like what happened was she basically flipped over the front of her skis, landed with her torso on top of a stream that was frozen over with 8 inches of ice, and she flipped with enough force for her head and torso and basically most of her body to go directly into the water. But the hole wasn't
through 8 inches of ice.
I mean, there was probably a weakness at some point, but the ice in the area at a certain point they measured was 8 inches. She didn't go all the way down because her skis were wide enough to basically keep her dangling in this hole in this stream off of this waterfall, because the skis basically created like a trap for her body in the hole that her torso had gone through. Does that make sense?
So she went head first through the ice. Her feet and skis are still above the ice, and she's stuck underwater head first.
Exactly.
Ugh.
Sounds like a nightmare, right?
Uh-huh.
So as soon as this happens, she had 2 friends with her who attempted to rescue her as soon as they had seen this, but they failed. And 7 minutes later, which seems like way too long from my perspective, they called emergency services. 7 minutes, though. I mean, like, I don't know.
I
feel like
try and do what you can yourself first.
I guess. I feel like immediately I would be like, oh shit, we're fucked.
Yeah, you might want one person help and one person call quick, but
yeah,
whatever.
I think. But
if I saw my friend head first in a river, I'd probably try and go help first.
Yeah, you're going after it.
Yeah,
for sure. I get it. Somehow, some way, Anna under the ice along this stream or over this stream found an air pocket.
She Wim Hofed it. She's basically coated in water, but she's been able to pry her head up high enough towards the ice where she can breathe. Okay.
But she's getting soaked in water, and the stream is fast enough that her friends can't pull her out, right? Because she's...
And they can't break up the ice or anything either? Or like get her skis off?
But if they take her skis off, she's going to just go down the stream.
Oh.
Like you would have to have a foot be able to dislodge the ski and then pull her entire body out. Plus, you can't get close enough on the ice.
Yeah,
because the ice is going to break apart,
yeah.
and then they're going in too, and then they're all going to drown.
My goodness, this sucks.
Die.
Okay,
it's a terrible situation. It is, but I promise this one, as opposed to some more other ones, has an interesting and happier ending.
Attached her head to a golden retriever, and she lived for another 30 years.
That's it. We're done. Have a great night.
See you next week. Giddy up.
They basically, they say that she remained conscious for about 40 minutes of this. So she was in this position, underwater, under the ice, in this air pocket for about 40 minutes until she lost consciousness and couldn't communicate with her friends anymore. A rescue team that came via helicopter one went up the stream and one went down the mountain to try to see who could get there fastest to get to her.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to your point about could they not like get through the ice to get to her? They could not break through the ice with the team that came from the top of the mountain because they had ice picks, but their picks wouldn't get through.
She get through.
I don't know, man. I think
That's crazy.
I think she really took I think it was it was steep enough that she took a front flip off a mountain and blasted through it.
How would that impact not kill you though, or at least knock you out?
I mean, good question. I don't know. But the team from the bottom brought a pointed gardening shovel and were able to cut a hole through the ice and pull her through. She had been in the water for 80 minutes when she was rescued.
Ugh.
And
still alive?
40 minutes halfway through that, she lost consciousness.
Right.
When they pulled her out, she had no blood circulation, no heartbeat, and she was not breathing.
And had been for
who knows? Almost an hour at that point.
Well, we don't necessarily know that, right?
That's true. We don't know when the actual heartbeat stopped, but we know that when they
She
pulled
lost
her
consciousness 40 minutes prior, but
out because she wasn't communicating and yelling through the ice anymore. But when she wasn't, they don't know when her heart actually stopped after that point. I know this is gruesome, but it gets really interesting because they essentially helicopter her to the nearest hospital, which Narvik is like relatively remote. So they're taking her to the nearest hospital. They are doing CPR the entire time. As soon as they get her out, her body temperature when she was lifted out of the water was 56.7 degrees Fahrenheit. Oof. Which, if you've ever taken your temp for a cold, you know is about half of what you're supposed to be.
It's not enough.
The doctor said, quote, "She has completely dilated pupils. She is ashen and flaxen white. Ugh. She's wet and ice cold when I touch her skin and looks absolutely dead."
She's wet. Seems like the least of her worries at this point.
True, but
yes, she was in a stream for an hour and a half.
Very frozen water for what it's worth. She went into the water at 18:27 local time, so 6:30 basically for those that aren't doing.
The second half of that shouldn't change. 6:27.
What do you mean?
He went from 18:27 to 6:30.
I know. I was just roughly 6:30 p.m. for those that are that are not on military time. She arrived at the hospital at 21:10, so that's
2.5 hours ish later.
9:10. Through this is crazy. Through cardiopulmonary bypass. Go ahead.
Sorry, it was a 2.5 hour trip back to the hospital.
Correct.
But they got a helicopter there in an hour?
Well, the helicopter dropped a team at the top of the mountain, and they didn't know where she was.
I'm just saying, how would they get people to her in an hour, but it took 2.5 to get her to a hospital?
Because they had to fly the helicopter to wherever they were going, because Narvik is in the middle of nowhere, and I don't think there was a hospital in Narvik.
So they're 2.5 hours from a hospital, but
there had to have been
a helicopter?
There had to have been a hospital in Narvik because that's where they were doing their residency. So I don't know, I guess.
It seems like a really long time, but whatever.
I don't know. I mean, I think you also have to factor in the amount of time it took for them to actually get her out of the ice, and I don't know how long it took for them to actually get her out of there.
Oh, you're saying maybe that's... I got you.
She went in...
So 2 hours and 40 minutes from when they got to her, not from when they left with her. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying at 6:30 she went in.
To
the ice.
Okay, never mind. That makes sense then.
And
so
then,
she was in there for 80 minutes. They got her out. That probably took a while. Then they had another hour back somewhere. Okay, now I'm with you.
Then they flew. No, You're good. Then they flew to the hospital. Yeah, so there had to have been a hospital in Narvik because that's where they were doing their residencies. Yep. Essentially, roughly 3 hours later, she has been getting CPR this entire time.
She's been unconscious for almost 2 of those hours.
She has no blood circulation outside of the fact that she's getting CPR and she's getting breathed in and like something stimulating her heart, but that's it.
Yeah.
They attach her to a cardiopulmonary bypass machine, which is actually super similar to one of the things that you were talking about, which is essentially it's a thing that like it goes into your lungs and makes your lungs expand and contract to pull air in and push it back out again. And then the way that I understand it is it's actually a machine that like you plug your veins, like they plug into a vein and there's like an in and an out.
Circulates it for you.
It takes it out and pumps it through. It's like a fake heart essentially outside of your body that's pushing the blood all the way through your body, and also has a warming feature to the point that you were talking about where it basically warms the blood up outside and pushes it through the whole body because you don't have the core temperature at the time to be warming the blood on your own. Long story short, I guess, at what was the time? Wait for it. She got connected to the cardiopulmonary machine at 21:40. Mm-hmm. So over 3 hours after that point, she took her first heartbeat at, damn it, I had it right here.
17 days later.
22:15.
Okay.
So basically 4 hours later, her heart beat again for the first time.
Okay. It seems like too long.
Seems like way too long for somebody to be not around for.
Yeah.
She woke up paralyzed from the neck down.
Did she have other injuries?
Yes.
Okay. Like, is the paralyzation because she also broke bones, or this was a result of just the
trauma? I don't entirely know specifically. Her digestive system and her kidneys were all fucked up when she was brought back.
Okay.
They think largely because her full body temperature had been brought down so low for so long. Brought it. It was brought it.
None of these are words.
But essentially, after a super intense, super long-term stay in both the ICU and a bunch of physical therapy, she has some nerve damage from the hypothermia to like the ends of her fingers and toes, the extent that she is no longer capable of being a surgeon because you need the nerves in those very specific places to be able to do that. Exactly. Yeah. But she is a fully functioning, no brain damage, like human being in the world who was
that seems impossible.
Essentially dead for 4 hours.
That's crazy.
The story is unbelievable. She got interviewed with ABC News, BBC News, like a bunch of people picked this up because it's one of the most, it is the coldest or one of the coldest temperatures a body has ever been documented coming to, and surviving that process without there being basically like so much tissue damage that the human being dies. And yeah, it's just this phenomenally strange and wild story. There's this quote about one of the doctors talks about how persistence is the key, because people that continue to just pump her heart and push oxygen into her lungs was one of the only things, because again, it goes back to the stories we were talking about earlier. You just need a machine that keeps pushing oxygen and pumping the blood around, and it's faking what your body needs to sustain itself. Yeah. So the only thing that really was her negative effects was the hypothermia that was just caused from the tissue death or the nerve death from the tissue being that cold in her fingers for so long. But outside of that, she's like a totally normal person after 4 hours.
That's wild.
It's a wild one.
All right.
Let's hope if we ever get in that situation, someone's that persistent.
Push on your friends' hearts if they need you to.
Help them out.
Push on your friends.
Help your friends out. Another way you can help your friends out is by telling them about the What If Podcast. whatifpodcast.com.
That was awful.
If you want to leave us a voicemail at 612-246-4614 or send us an email, it's hi@whatifpodcast.com. Thank y'all for listening to the show. Thank you for your support. Thank you for riding with us through a slightly bumpy episode in a new location.
Giddy up.
Giddy up, motherfuckers. This is Sweary Boys. We love y'all. We'll see you next week.